Thanks for staying with us here on News Desk with me, Anas Minute. Joining us now is the head of our health desk, Fred Smith. And Fred was at the news conference we brought to you a while ago. He's here to fill us in on all that we missed. Fred, let's start with the issue of the vulnerable. The Minister for Gender and Social Protection was there. Yesterday, we brought you stories about people who have nowhere to sleep here in Accra and were headed back home to different parts of the northern region. Did she touch on that, and what exactly is the provision for them?
Well, indeed, when Cynthia Morrison took the stage, that was her main mission, to address concerns coming from persons who are vulnerable in times like this. You know, you've been asked to stay at home, but these are people who don't have a home, so what do you do to them? So what she said, the measures to mitigate the impact on such persons is to provide accommodation. That's the first thing for these people. They're finding temporary accommodation for them, and then they've so far identified 15,000 persons who fall into this category. 15,000? 15,000 who fall into this category. They're actually looking for more, and those who don't have anywhere to sleep at all will be put in the temporary accommodation, and some have accommodation, but they need some logistics, food and other logistics. They will also provide them.
Do we know where these people are?
Well, they are all in our communities, especially they identified certain places within Accra and Kumasi where they are targeting these people. The fact remains that they have already taken their details in times past, but some of them managed to, travel out of Accra when the measures were announced by the president before it took effect. And so you don't have everybody they've captured in their data who is still here. It's possible some have also come in and have added to the numbers.
So the 15,000 could be less?
No, what I'm saying is that these are the numbers they've taken now. So we are sure that all of these people are going to be fed, and they wanted to be sure. So the data was being collected over the period that since the president announced this measure. And so they've also identified some persons who are mentally ill, and they will also be taken off the street. So far, 20 of such persons have been identified. She's saying that they are going to be given proper, they'll take their bath, they'll change their clothes, keep them clean, so they can also practice this hygiene. But for those who are vulnerable but are not mentally ill, what they'll be given is training on hygienic conditions, how to maintain good hygiene. And then they will also train them on social distancing. It's one of the things because they tend to crowd themselves in small areas. They'll be given that training. And for those who are very young and must be in school at this time, some of the KIA are very young. Those will also be, in the course of the 2 weeks, they will be engaged in some kind of training. Then when it's okay for them to put these persons in school, they will help enroll them in school.
But beyond the issue of shelter, yesterday when we spoke to some of these women, they were hungry. They needed food to eat because they are not in business anymore.
Yeah, food is part of the things they're giving them. And so even yesterday, I visited the area where the community center where they were kept. They had provided them with food already in the afternoon, and they were going to do more in the evening. She also mentioned that the communication ministry provided a number of mobile phones that had video features, so they can call their families back home in the north, so they can let them know they are doing well and can travel back when this lockdown in Accra and Kumasi is lifted.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then for all the they also identified some persons with disabilities who will also be taken care of, and more importantly, there will be some stipend given to these persons. I think the information minister wanted to know how much the stipend is. She declined to answer, and there was a question about how much, why they want to give them stipend, because they will be given food, they will be given sanitizers, soap, other things. What's the need for sanitizer?
For the stipends.
And so the minister is saying that, well, some of these persons may need things that may not have been provided, some basic stuff, and so it's okay to give them. we already provide LEAP to persons who do not have incomes.
Yeah, or fall below the poverty line.
Who fall below the poverty line. And so if you are identified in this, at this crucial time, you'll be treated. That's just about 2 weeks. You'll be given something so that when things are over, they can do their Kaya year. You remember that the Kaya business is no longer in effect because people are not going into the market the way they would have before the ban. And so these are the measures the Gender and Social Protection Minister rolled out.
And also very interesting, the issue of how to deal beyond social protection, how to deal with the bodies of the people who are passed on as a result of COVID-19. I think that question was asked. Was there any response that was given?
Well, it didn't come up actually. It's a question that we wanted to put to them, but the information was not readily available. I had actually gone to the information minister to ask, so they were checking what to do. But he had mentioned that the health ministry had commented on that some time ago, and so we'll check on that as well, and then see what's the way forward for the 5 who have already died. We saw a letter going around yesterday that the government has taken custody of the dead, and that government will perform the rites, and we will have to confirm that with the health ministry.
Well, thank you very much, Fred Smith, for bringing us details on what we missed, the news briefing that was held today at the Information Ministry, all on COVID-19 and also on the restrictions imposed by the President.